Jovan Buha! Buha!
Yo, I'm Jovan Buha, NBA reporter for Buha's Block, and welcome to another episode. On today's show, we're going to be breaking down film of Luka Doncic at EuroBasket. Luka has been going off at EuroBasket. He has been arguably the best player in the tournament. He's played 9 games, 5 official games, and 4 friendlies. Slovenia is 3-2 in group play in Group D. They are tied for second, and they advance to the top 16, which is now a single elimination format beginning on Sunday. So I want to go over some of Luka's numbers and then break down some of the film. And one thing I want to be clear with here is Luka was still a top 5-ish player last season, despite dealing with the calf injury in the beginning of the season, despite going through the shock and emotions of being traded from Dallas to LA. He was still a beast with the Lakers. And so I fully expect Luka to get back into being a clear top 3 guy and potentially even in the best player in the world conversation, depending on how next season plays out. Before we get into it, please be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on channel notifications, and like and comment on this video. About 40% of you who regularly watch are not subscribed, and I'm trying to get to 30,000 subscribers before the start of the season. So it would mean the world to me if you hit that subscribe button and help me get a little bit closer to that goal. So I want to start with his overall numbers because looking at it, Luka's averaging 32.4 points per game, which leads the EuroBasket field. He is averaging 8 rebounds per game, which is 9th overall. And then he's averaging 8.4 assists per game, 2nd overall. He is an offense unto himself. And I don't know if any of you have watched some of these games with Slovenia, but he is not working with a lot out there, both from a schematic standpoint, but also from a talent standpoint. He doesn't have NBA counterparts with him. He doesn't have the talent to match up with teams like Serbia or Germany or France, etc. So he is carrying Slovenia on his back right now. But to look at his numbers a little bit more in depth, shooting 59% on twos, which is a notable uptick compared to his 2-point shooting with the Lakers. That was an area he had declined both as a finisher and as a mid-range shooter, just shooting 29% on threes. So his shot has not been falling at the same level it was last season. He is getting to the free throw line 13 times per game, shooting 88% on free throws. He has attempted at least 9 free throws in all 5 of the group play games and attempted double-digit free throws in 3 of the 5, including 1 game with 18 and 1 game with 20. So he is getting to the free throw line. He is drawing fouls. He is getting to the rim. 4 games with 9+ assists, 3 games with 8+ rebounds. He has at least 2 steals in every game and 3+ steals in 4 of the 5 games. He has been incredible in this tournament, and there's a lot to be encouraged by if you are the Lakers. One quick note, and shout out to Kranjis McBasketball, who's been a multi-time guest on the show. Always love having him on. He's been tracking Luka's offensive possessions as he does, and he had noted that through the first 6 games with Slovenia, Luka had only gotten to the rim 15% of the time. And looking at the previous 4 years that he had played with Slovenia, he was at 25%, 27%, 23%, then 21%. So that has gradually been decreasing, but it was something that was uncharacteristically low. He's now had back-to-back games with his highest rim field goal attempts, and that has brought him back to a more normal 20-ish% of his shots coming at the rim. So I think that is something that was worth noting, and a big shout out again to Kranjis. I want to offer this disclaimer before we start the film. A lot of what we're about to look at and go over is stuff Luka has done before, stuff Luka has done consistently, and even stuff Luka did as a Laker. But I think there's a difference in maybe the speed with which he's able to do some of these things, beating guys off the dribble, splitting double teams, etc., and also a difference in his defensive playmaking and the speed with which he's able to anticipate or block shots, etc. So I don't want to act like Luka has never done any of these things before. And I think sometimes when a player undergoes a physical transformation, we exaggerate the differences in their game or these new things that they can't do that they weren't doing before. I don't think that's necessarily the case for Luka. But even with him not being in the best possible shape for himself, just by his own standards, he was able to create separation and be a monster as a Laker last season. But if he's just a little bit quicker with his step back or attacking bigs off the dribble, whether they're showing or blitzing or whether they're in drop coverage, whatever it is, if he could just be a little bit better, 1%, 2%, 5%, whatever, that makes the difference between being, say, the fifth best player in the world and maybe the third or second or even best player in the world, right? So we're talking about the tiniest of margins here, but I want to go over all that stuff. So let's get into it here. We're going to start on the offensive end and Luka as a pick and roll ball handler. There's a botched show and recover combined with a screen that allows Luka to get downhill. Another possession here where the big shows high, Luka turns the corner on him, gets downhill and gets to the rim. Here we'll look at it again. Luka just looking quicker off of the dribble and with his penetration. Another example where the big is in drop and he's just too slow to hang with Luka. Here's a 3-man action where the big who switches on to Luka gets screened, which creates some hesitation and allows Luka to beat him off the dribble and get to the rim. Wasn't even that good of a screen, but just that little hesitation there allows Luka the step that he needs. Here he is splitting a double team and creatively and craftily getting to the rim for the nice finish. Comes off the handoff into the screen, splits another double team, and easily gets to the rim for the layup. On this possession, he uses a head fake to create some confusion, then is able to get around the initial line of defense and get to the basket for the finish. So I think seeing Luka attack different coverages has been encouraging, and this is now several clips in a row of him getting fouled, but he's splitting double teams. He is beating hedging and showing and blitzing, and certainly some defensive miscommunication and mistakes and errors on the parts of the teams that he's playing. But Luka just looks so much quicker and more difficult to guard off of the dribble. It's not only been bigs though, he's been able to find mismatches against smaller guards and take them off the dribble. Here's an example against Belgium where he takes their point guard off the dribble and just goes into a little easy bank shot. I'm not sure what's happening on this possession. They're in a deep drop and almost disrespecting Luka. I was surprised he didn't take the pull-up three. Here's an example of using Luka as a screener. We could see this with Austin Reeves or LeBron James. So I think Austin makes some more sense because you're trying to get the point guard switched onto him. Luka gets the and one here. So again, looking at it, just high pick and roll with Luka as the screener, draw the switch, the mismatch, he takes him off the dribble and hits the and one. Here's a possession of Luka on defense and pushing the ball, getting out in transition and getting to the rim. As aforementioned, his rim pressure has increased throughout the tournament. And you see here again, him in transition. He did not have many finishes like that as a Laker. So it's good to see the assertiveness of trying to get to the rim, but also the speed and quickness off the dribble. And it hasn't been just scoring or creating for himself, but the ability to get downhill generates open looks for his teammates. As you see here, a couple of possessions of him getting into the middle of the paint and the attention he draws, allowing his teammates to score. But one of the big things has been Luka's jumper and the ability to create separation against bigs switching onto him. And even a move like this, that is more separation than Luka needs and more separation than he was able to generate against bigs at times during the regular season. And he just needs a sliver of daylight for this to drop. So I think his ability to create separation, and I know his jumper hasn't been falling at the rate it typically does, but I think his legs have been there in a way consistently that they weren't always last season. But he's certainly capable of just first possession of the game, pulling from 30, 32 feet. Here's an example of him coming off of a wide pin down, curling and just draining an off-ball three. It's a simple action you could see the Lakers run next season. Then I want to look at the defensive end because Luka has been getting after it on the defensive end. And there's a ton of highlights of him being disruptive and holding his own, forcing guys into turnovers, blocking shots. And I think his defensive effort, and not just effort, but execution and playmaking have been at a very high level. So, certainly there are some possessions where he will get blown by or possessions where he isn't as effective as a help defender or misreads a situation, maybe picks up a foul. But I think his ability to contain the ball, contain drives, and be something of a playmaker at times, as I mentioned, at least 3 steals in 4 of the 5 group games. I think he's been awesome on that end. Here he is blocking a shot out of bounds as a help defender. The traits that make Luka such a special offensive player apply to the defensive end with his basketball IQ and anticipation and just reading the floor and court mapping and all of that. So you see that with him as a help defender. Here's just an effort play getting back in transition and getting the steal, leading to a fast break opportunity. He also got a steal here, which led to the first dunk I could remember from Luka in I don't know how long. Another possession here where he gets a steal early in the game against France, and that leads to a layup. Here, he forces the ball handler into a trap and a turnover, which leads to a fast break for Slovenia. And then let's get into his post defense here, where he pulls the chair and forces a turnover, does it again in a different game, and then draws the foul. And then here doesn't even let his opponent get the ball and is just fronting him and battling him in the post. Luka's effort and just buying into the scheme have been big parts of Slovenia's success so far. It's worth noting, of course, that while the world has caught up to America in basketball for the most part, obviously these players are not all NBA caliber players. Luka is going to look more athletic or be more effective in certain regards against non-NBA players, right? Like that's just how it is. And at the same time, he's averaging 32, 8, and 8 in just 33 minutes per game. The EuroBasket games are 4 10-minute quarters, so just 40 minutes a game. So you just think about what he could be doing in a 48-minute game. His averages would probably be like 40, 10, and 10. Like he's been remarkable on both sides of the ball. I think the biggest thing to take away has been Luka's speed with the ball and the ability to beat different coverages and the ability to beat bigs and split double teams. And I just think that the assertiveness and the aggression and the ability just to get downhill and make plays, whether it's for himself or his teammates, has been at a level that was already high, but it's been even higher and it's looked even better and looked more impressive. And then on the defensive end, he's been able to corral ball handlers and stop penetration and be an effective help defender and block shots and get steals and get out in transition. And so I think, again, there are the important caveats of this is not all NBA level competition. And, some of these players are less athletic and some of the scheme stuff or whatnot is not going to be NBA caliber. But I think given the circumstances and given that there are other NBA players in this tournament and Luka has looked like the best one, I think that is an encouraging sign. I think the fact that Luka has, we've been able to see tangible progress in his game, in his playing style, I think that is encouraging. And again, I think the defensive end to me has honestly been the most impressive just because that has not always been a strong suit of Luka's, and he has been very active and engaged on that side of the ball. But would love to hear from you guys what has stood out to you with Luka and his game and what stood out from this breakdown. So please be sure to drop a comment below with your thoughts and if there's anything I missed from Luka's performance this summer. But that'll do it for today's show. Thank you all so much for watching and listening. Please be sure to hit that subscribe button, turn on channel notifications, and like and comment on this video. Share it with a friend, and I will talk to you all very soon.